Good afternoon. Happy lunchtime. This is what I'm calling like a lunchtime magic series because I do this around lunchtime every day. If you have time to watch me while you're on your lunch break, eating your sandwich, or just chilling out in your car from your stressful day, I appreciate you joining me. Joining us today. Today I have with me Aislinn, my new wife. Yes, newlyweds. So Magic just had this major update, and we got 5 new decks. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through these decks and just talk about them a little bit. First off, we're gonna talk about the just the initial look and style of them. Aislinn doesn't really play Magic much. She watches me play a lot of cards.
That's true.
And so she had some thoughts on these starter decks. So what do you think about you said something to me when I was loading this up about the first 3 looked really interesting to you.
I said I like the first 3, and I said maybe even the 4th one, the fireworks. But Treasure Hunt to me seemed too. Just the artwork now seemed more storybook, child's storybook, kind of like My Big Friendly Giant kind of artwork wise. But I really love the fire and the druid looks to the Magic cards. So I'm more lean to that.
Okay. So which one of these would you like to look at first?
Well, seeing how I really, really love elves, I would like to look at that elf wizard. So fireworks would be a good one to start.
All right, so we'll look at fireworks first. Oh, we got 10 new decks. Sorry. So we also have these 5.
Yeah, I like those. All 5 of those.
What the heck, Sparky? Welcome back, Sparky. I haven't seen you in a while. So this is new and different. I haven't had Sparky come talk to me in a long time. Alright, I'm gonna look at the store real quick. See if there's any good purchases in the store. Alright, so there's a cheap pack of Kaldheim in the store. And looks like
I like her.
Kiora.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Looks
love
like
her
there's
look.
some older planeswalkers in here. Value buys and stuff, and then your packets and stuff. The daily deals, yeah, nothing I'm too impressed with. The Kaldheim pack, usually something that I would get, and I might go ahead and grab it. But for now, let's look at this new deck, Fireworks. So, I'm going to switch this view. We're just going to look at it right here, just like this. Okay, so we've got multiple choices. One of the free rares that you would get with this. So this is almost like is it Wizards? Yeah, is it Wizards? Which is something I haven't actually thought about putting together yet.
I think you should.
Yeah.
So
we've got Prismari Command here, Meteor Shower or Meteor Swarm, and the Demilick. So you get 3 rares and a mythic with this deck.
I totally want a skeleton wizard. I do want that now.
Okay. Well.
I don't want him to buy me just like cards just for the artwork on them.
a lot of people do buy just the artwork, and like Wizards came out, like they've got that art book that they just came out with.
I would love that.
Okay, so usually the first thing that I do before I start changing anything up with a deck is I play it a couple times and then see where I'm going to tweak it. Like, there's a few things that I know that I'm going to tweak on it. One of them would be that the Creative Outburst will probably get swapped out for a Magma Opus when you have the wild cards for it. Magma Opus is just kind of a better card.
Well, that and I already do the Creative Outburst for you, so
Yeah,
you know.
you are my Creative Outburst. All right, so let's let's try this out, and then we'll see how it plays first. So let's jump into a play queue with it, play a couple games with it, and then I'll give my opinions on how it's running. Where you at, Fireworks? And I've built a couple of different decks like this. But like specifically the Wizards, I had not done anything with. Who knows? Maybe Wizards of the Coast was doing this as a self-promotion.
I don't know.
That is the sound of her being a bionic woman. Blood sugars are on the rise. Better put a bolus in. Alright, so this is an okay opening hand. No 1-drops, but I do have Thorny Rebuke to deal with creatures, and Expressive Iteration to get a little bit further into the deck. So let's give it a try. So we'll probably cast this guy on turn 3, just so that when I cast any of my other spells and stuff, he's active. And then we'll get like an Expressive Iteration in there a little bit later. So one of the things that I don't like is Thundering Rebuke here. Yes, it does 4 damage, but it's not an instant, and I prefer to have instant speed interaction. And I'll be able to show you why as we get a little bit further in here. So this guy might also be playing one of the starter decks. So Tasmanian Royal Mage is kicked. Okay. So do we want to get our wizard on board? Yeah. Let's go ahead and get this guy on board. I don't anticipate this guy living very long, but he does fly, and he can block this Royal Mage here. So he foretells, and that's his turn. I personally wouldn't attack there. Yeah. Alright, so let's Expressive Iteration. And I don't need the Meteor Swarm yet. So we'll bring this guy into hand. Put that back in the library. And exile that so that we can play it as our land drop for the turn. And then we will go ahead and nuke this unfortunate Royal Mage. Get a little bonus damage in him while we can. And go in and attack. So this Mystic is better than I was giving it credit for. I like what all it can do. This could be a poison the cup here. Yep, but that's okay. We have a backup Mystic. We do need another blue source pretty quick. So let's just lead out with that guy for now. If we get another blue source, we can double spell next turn.
What's a blue source? Like the blue and red, or?
It would be like an island. Ooh, that's gonna be a problem. All right, so we did not find another blue source. So we can go face with this and draw a couple more cards. We don't have the mana to deal with that guy just yet. And there's not much more I can do. So I'm probably just going to create a treasure and draw 2, discard 2. Because I really need like another island. There's an island. Alright, so discarding 2 cards. We'll discard this guy and that. And we'll put this giant wizard into play. And now we can swing in to his Emerith because he's not going to block. So now if he attacks with Emerith, we'll be down to 15. Okay. He draws a card. Okay. So we play our second blue source, and then we'll get this guy on the table and attack for 3. And unfortunately, our opponent's got a full hand full of cards here. Gelatinous cube. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Wasn't that in a movie?
This is one of the cards from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and it's one of the iconic D&D monsters.
Oh, okay. I knew I played it. Yeah.
Okay.
Seen it somewhere.
So we're going to cast multiple choice here. And we're going to do it for 4. Because
excuse me.
We're going to auto pay. We're going to draw a card off of him. See the Demon Bolt coming up. That's good. Draw it. Choose a player. Choose a player that return a creature they control to their owner's hand. Okay. And then we can foretell this to cast next turn. And since he didn't return the gelatinous cube, we're not going to attack into that. So he can recast his Emerith, or he can eat my Agar. If he eats Agar, then we can just Demon Bolt next turn. Yeah, so he eats the Agar. That eats up his turn. He doesn't have much he can do, so we will be able to kill the giant there. Yeah. So let's cast Agar. Demon Bolt the gelatinous cube. And then we cast Basalt Ravager, hit him for 3, and then swing in for lethal. So overall, this deck, it works. It does what you need it to. It's not a bad deck. Demilik is going to let you go back and get some other cards that you want. Alright, fireworks. So we're going to clone it. Fireworks 2. So the fireball here is an instant, but it costs 5. Demon Bolt is an instant. I like it. I'm not a fan of Thundering Rebuke, so I would like to swap that out. One of the easiest upgrades for this deck looks like it's going to be switching it to Snow Package. So Snow, and let's look at the lands. So we've got 10 islands, 10 mountains. The first thing that you can upgrade with is to put in, if you've got the pathways, put the pathways in. That's your first upgrade. The snow decks, everybody's got them, and I'll tell you why we're going to put those in. Because we're going to go with a cheap instant removal. So Into the Royal is still good. We could put Frost Augur in here as a card draw engine. Avalanche Caller is also in theme, and it turns your snowlands into 4/4 creatures. But right now we're going to take out these Thundering Rebukes. We're going to lose 1 point of damage here, but we are going to gain instant speed and 3 damage usually. So this is one of our rares here. It helps with casting these bigger spells, and depending on what you've got for those top end spells, we're gonna, like, Creative Outburst is a good budget friendly thing. We could put more of those in. You could also put in the Frostboil Snarls. Will and Rowena and Rowan, sorry, Will and Rowan are good if you've got them. You could slot those in place of, not necessarily in place of this guy, because he is a hasty guy. He's flying, but he just doesn't hit very hard. And, like, you're not attacking with this guy. You're also not attacking with these guys, and they reduce the cost of all of your spells, your instants and sorceries, by 1. And you get the Planeswalker there. But that's not a budget friendly upgrade. I like the Archmage here. Demulich is probably going to be fine. The Maelstrom Muse, again, does kind of the same thing that Will and Rowan do. The Fireballs, 5 damage for 5 and 2 to face. So let's see if we can lower the cost of this kind of a spell that we're looking for, and keep it kind of budget friendly. Like, you could kind of go with Sorcerer class here, because this is also, I mean, it is a rare, but that would be a thing that I could see upgrading this deck with. And this would actually probably be a good home for this particular class, because of, once you get to this 5 mana on it, and then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals damage to your opponent equal to the number of instants and sorceries that you've cast that turn. So if you kind of go off with this, it really kind of will punish your opponent. looking back at some of the other cards, this card is going to be leaving as well. Like, more Prismari commands is always good. Spectacle Mage might be something here. It's a 2/2 flyer, and it does basically the same thing for your high end that this guy does. Assault Ravager is actually an okay choice here. Rutha might be somebody that you want to put in here to copy spells.
Ooh, what's Lock Dragon?
This is one of the cards that's rotating out soon, like in 2 or 3 weeks.
Aww.
So it will no longer be legal. Battle of Frostfire is probably one of the best sweepers in the game, but it's not going to fit with this theme because this is mages and not giants.
What's a sweeper?
A sweeper is a card that deals damage to everything on the field, and
cool.
Basically allows you to sweep the battlefield, sweep all the opponent's creatures off the battlefield.
Just the opponents or yours too?
It will sweep everybody's except for giants in this case.
Ah.
Because its first ability here is Battle of Frostfire deals 4 damage to each non-giant creature in each planeswalker.
Okay.
So 4 damage is usually enough to kill just about everything that's going to be on the field. It's a good choice there. So, as I was saying, the upgrade that I would make here is take out Creative Outburst for Magma Opus. They're kind of the same card. Magma Opus is just a little bit easier to cast, but it does cost 8. This costs 7. But Magma Opus deals more. So Creative Outburst, deal 5 damage to any target. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library. And you can discard Creative Outburst to create a treasure token. Well, Magma Opus deals 4 damage divided as we choose among any number of targets. So that can go face as well. Tap 2 target permanents and create a 4/4 red and blue elemental creature token, and then draw 2 cards. So drawing 2 cards to me is a little more valuable than looking at 5 and picking 1, as well as the rest of the stuff. So what I might do here is get rid of the fireballs and that, and pull that in, because we have so much stuff that's dropping the price of spells. Well, not necessarily dropping the price of spells, because we got this guy and these guys that drop the price of spells. But I feel like Magma Opus is probably just the better choice here. It has more of an impact on the game. And it does basically kind of what we want. Meteor Swarm can get stuff done. Multiple choice, as you saw in the last game, gets stuff done. I'm still looking for a place where Demilik is gonna shine for me. Into the Royal. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Into the Royal.
I have to go check on my chicken.
Yep, I hear that.
That
Alright,
did not
so-
sound like a good.
So we're losing Aislinn for a while. She may or may not come back. Depends on what her chickens are getting into.
I dropped the fan.
She knocked the fan over, which I'm gonna get for her while she goes and checks on the chickens.
I got it. Just play your game. I got it.
Okay. So the theme of this deck is Wizard. let's look at these 2-slot wizards, where this Arcane Investigator is. He doesn't do a whole lot. Like, I kind of almost feel since we have switched to the Snowland package, I kind of want, I'm going to modify this so that we're only looking at what will be available past rotation. So, the Arcane Investigator's job is to draw cards for us, right? In the late game. But 6 mana is a lot of mana. I think I would rather have the Avalanche Caller here, or possibly the Frostdogger, because he kind of lets us look for lands. Although this could be a place where if you've got Seagate Stormcallers laying around, you could throw that guy into it. The Soothsayer, the Royal Mage. That kicker's awful high. Yeah, I feel like I want to put the Avalanche Caller in here in place of the Arcane Investigator. Expeditive Iteration is a fine card. I see no problem with it. Alright, so I can see this guy's... I was confusing this Kaza Royal Chaser with the Maelstrom Muse. And of course, Kaza is a legendary, so you can only have one of them. The Amari Mystic seems fine. Prismari Command, I want more of those in the deck. But where do we squeeze them in at? Alright, the Prismari Pride Mage is... that card's just not that great. But, like, what do you replace it with, right? Take one of them out and up the Kaza's count to 2. We've got 19 creatures. That's an awful lot of creatures. I can see taking these 2 guys out and adding... more expressive iterations. I think we're going to take out the Into the Royal for the lesson that bounces a target. Divide by 0. Yes, it costs a little bit more. It is still instant speed, though. Demon Bolt deals with most dragons. And then if you have, stuff like, Shatter Skull Smashing, that lets you do it. Magic Missile is a sorcery, so I'm not as big a fan of Magic Missile because it's sorcery speed, but it is nice that you can take out 3 targets with it. So now that we're running 2 divide by zeros, we need to look at lessons. And with lessons, we want Teachings of the Archaic if you've got them. If you don't have them, don't worry about it. Start from scratch. Can destroy those pesky artifacts that are being a problem. Not too worried about spirit summoning or transformation. You can do some fun stuff with that, because they do lose all their abilities. Illuminate history. More card draws, never a bad thing if you've got extra cards in your graveyard. But we are looking for environmental sciences and mascot exhibition as things that you kind of want there. Introduction to Prophecy is probably not bad, but that's the learns that I would put in here. Sometimes you just need that extra point of damage, but a lot of times what you really need is to destroy that artifact, like that chariot that's there and causing you a problem. I would like to go up on the number of Prismari commands, and these Maelstrom Muses to me I think I'd rather have the Prismari commands here. The Mystic seems fine. It gets a bonus from casting spells. Was it a cuckoo?
Yep.
Oh, we got a cuckoo in the house. Hey, Coo.
What's that, puppy boy? Oh, you are a hot boy.
Come here. Come here, Coo.
Come on. Come on.
Our Great Pyrenees is not dealing with the heat very well. Coo. You feeding him inside?
Yes. I want to feed him away from the goats.
Okay.
The goats, I think, got into his food last night because they were bloated pretty bad.
And he is just floofed on the floor. That's our coup. Alright, so these are some of the upgrades that I would do. Just my initial thoughts. Yeah, that's how I would change it. And if you have Faceless Havens or Hall of the Storm Giants, those might also be things that you can add to this deck. Alright, so we picked hers first. So one of the ones that I want to look at what is this? What's this? Okay, this is where I was looking at something else. Okay, this deck can get deleted. Deleted. Okay. So Savage Lands, I believe, is one of the new ones here. So, like, I don't like Bugbear. Hang on. Discard those changes. Let's clone it. Now, we'll change the cloned version. So, Owlbear replaces itself, but probably a better way to do that. Brushfire Elemental's fine. Werewolf Pack Leader, Full Strength, Royal Eruption, Hobgoblin Captain. I've started kind of falling out of love with the Hobgoblin Captain. Yeah, so Scale the Heights. Akoum Hellhound is not one of my favorites, but let's look at Landfall. Because that's kind of what this deck is based around. It's got a Landfall and Pack Tactics theme. So, Scale the Heights is a sorcery. Phyleth is a landfall. It's like I would replace the Akoum Hellhound with the Skyclave Pickaxe off. Honestly, like it's just a better card, I think. Like the Akoum Hellhound doesn't block well. I'm fine with keeping the Hobgoblin Captain in here. Royal Eruption seems fine, but again, that's sorcery speed. So we're going to try to find instant speed. Poking Bugbear has haste. Target now, Brushfire Elemental. I like Choose Your Weapon, it's fine. Alright, so stuff that I would take out, and I do have a pretty fully stocked account. So like I have access to just some strictly better cards. So like I do have a full set of the Werewolf Pack Leaders. So let's go up one there, go up to 4 of on him. Increase your frog Hemoth. Another one. So this is not a budget-friendly choice, but this is an upgrade. because we're kind of heavy into the landfall. And this could be a nice little tricky thing. So World Tree could be an interesting upgrade here. I would go up to 4 Khazad-dûm Mammoth.
Okay, we need to eat, buddy.
Okay, what do we have? We don't have a lot of stuff in red green right now. We do have this Hobgoblin Champion just chilling out here. And I actually want to look at a green source here. We could go with the snow package and put in Blizzard Brawl. I don't think that's necessary. But Jaspera Sentinels help. But is there a better card in the 1-drop? Maybe the Neverwinter Dryad. Or Swarm Shambler. It's a pretty good upgrade. Null Hunter kind of lend themselves well to the pack tactic stuff, but I did want a 1-drop in there. It's a 2.8 curve. Let's look for a replacement for the Royal Eruption here. Let's look at Instance. So Royal Eruption does 3 to any target. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Being able to deal 3 to any target. And I almost want to go with Demon Bolt here, but I think maybe the right call is could be heated debate, but that doesn't deal damage to face. Welcome to the channel, Scribbles69. So, would you like me to switch over to this life gain deck? This use the white starter deck. Is it just the straight white starter deck? Like there's the Angels deck. What are some of the other? Like I've got a couple of different life gain decks that I use. Just a mono white life gain. There's a lot of stuff that's good with like the mono white and green white life gain. I don't think I have a mono white life gain built right now. Let me see. Probably the closest that I have is this Angels deck, which I don't know how far off of their build I am. Okay, so I wasn't too far off of what was being built there. This, honestly, this looks more like my build maybe than theirs. It's hard for me to tell which one is theirs, which one is mine. Or they could both be mine, who knows. Yeah, I mean, Life Gain is a very strong deck. If you were to go the green route, you know, you've got stuff like the Prosperous Innkeeper and Trelisara to add to it.
Good boy. Good boy.
Mostly what I've been playing in here lately is the standard 2022 queue. And I limit it to just the sets that are going to be legal, because I usually prefer to play like a best of 3 format. Alright, so let's see if we can build a pretty good mono white life gain that'll be rotation resistant, or not really rotation proof, but rotation resistant. So like, we know we want cleric class.
Sorry, dear.
Oh, you're fine.
I gotta get this done.
So you've got a couple of good lifelink creatures down here, with like Story Seeker, or the Steadfast Paladin. Rune of Sustenance is an uncommon, so that's pretty easy to get a hold of. You've got Revitalize, which I like. It also, once rotation happens, you'll get the Book of Exalted Deeds back.
I know.
Which is a really good life gain option. Yeah, that's Kuhalan, our puppy. He's having trouble with the heat. A lot of trouble with the heat. And so if you've been using the guy that, you know, you gain 1 life whenever he comes into play, like, so there are cards that can pretty easily replace what you've been looking for or been using before. Like the Celestial Unicorn gets bigger each turn. then you've got like Potion of Healing, which will bump you up there.
There you go. Good boy.
I like the Dawnbringer Cleric as well. He does a lot of stuff for you, but he might wind up being a sideboard card.
Good boy. Good boy.
We might have to wind up taking a dog to the vet. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Come on. There you go.
You could also go like the Colossal Plow route. It might become a thing after rotation happens.
There you go. A little bit more.
You talking about?
There you go, buddy. You okay?
The 4-drop Leonin, the War Leader.
Come on, buddy. Drink it. Come on. Drink a little bit more. Come on. Come on, come on.
Yeah, so the War Leader will only be legal in best of 1 matches after rotation. So if you plan on doing any best of 3, we'll need to try to help you find a budget-friendly replacement for that guy. Like, he has the advantage of, like, you know, creating the cats with lifelink that are attacking with him. But we are going to add the Celestial Unicorn in here. I do like the Core Celebrant's ability. Yeah, I usually stick with standard play for a lot of just like my content videos, but I do also play competitive Magic. I've been playing Magic for about 20 years. I started way back in the old days. I've played semi-professionally a couple times in my 20s. So, yeah, baby girl.
Nothing. Just watching.
Okay. So let's get off of the life kick here for a second. And
Ooh, I love that cat.
that one?
Yeah.
The Charmed Stray?
That's really pretty. Another card I want.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna switch this back to what I was looking at before.
That's fine.
You know, I've actually never played Yu-Gi-Oh!
I did once. I didn't get into it though. I was more of a Pokemon type gal.
Yeah.
Pokemon and D&D, but I never got into Magic. I don't understand it.
I mean, it's easy to overlook Magic. So, the main advantage that you're getting with the Light Scribe is that when he attacks, he creates 2 tokens that attack with him. And those tokens have lifelink. But he does cost 4. I like the card draw off of these Priest of Ancient Lore. And if you've got them, this is a good place to to put your Luminarch aspirants. If you've got the wild cards, I would say craft them, because this card is just busted. And you're going to see it a lot. A lot. Other cards that go really well in this life gain shell are, obviously these Righteous Valkyries. Yeah, before the online gaming, before the pandemic shut us all down. I feel your pain there.
What happened?
So,
because you can't go in person.
Yeah. So Righteous Valkyrie is like the centerpiece of your life gain strategy. Moving forward, I would say. And then you want some interactive spells, so like Skyclave, which a lot of times I sideboard this out, especially if the format gets removal heavy. Just because I hate taking away my opponent's stuff and then giving it back to them in the form of a big token or something that sometimes is bigger than what they had before. Alright, where are you, Spellbinder? So Elite Spellbinder is another one of those ones that I highly recommend that you craft. You don't have to craft 4 of them right out the gate, but the card's busted. And as you can see, the 3 slot is really heavy. So I'm going to try to come back in here and get us a good 1-drop. And the Archpriest of Iona, if you have the rares, is a good 1-drop. If not, Clever Luminizer is not the card for this deck. It just isn't. Okay, so the way that sideboarding works is when you're playing in like a best of 3 format, you get 15 extra cards that go over into your sideboard. And you play the first game with just your deck as it is. And then when you move to the second and third game, between the first game and the second game, alright, so we'll put these Frost Cave, or Cave of the Frost Dragon in there. So when you move between the first game and the second game, you can change out cards. So when you build your sideboard, you're building your sideboard thinking about the other archetypes that you're going to possibly be playing against. So when you get into the more competitive play and you start seeing these reoccurring patterns that you're running into, you can put cards into your sideboard that will help counter what they're doing, and it changes your deck up a little bit. So like if I need to cut something out of here right now, what I would probably cut might be the Priest of Ancient Lore. Just cut down a couple of those. Because what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to make room for more 1-drops that will synergize with the rest of the deck. Like Portable Hole is a great interactive piece, but it's not going to give you much value on turn 1. Something that does give you those is this Usher of the Fallen. If you have this guy, he's a pretty good little beat stick early in the game. And then Clarion Spirit is a good 2-drop for your aggressive kind of white strategy. I'm just looking through here and seeing what else is going to synergize well. Because like we're running the cleric class, so we want to be gaining life. Possibly every turn gaining life. And there's just there's not a 1-drop with life gain in this format right now, but there might be later on.
Okay, good.
And we're really only going to have,
Let's try to drink some more water.
like, it's all clerics.
No.
So we don't have any of the other classes.
Drink the water, buddy.
So I would almost suggest,
There you go.
as a
Good
cheap
boy.
filler for right now, is this Battlefield Raptor.
Come on,
It flies. It's got a little bit of evasion to go over the top. It's a great target for your Luminarch Aspirant tokens to land on.
Mhm. Come on, buddy. Yeah, yeah, get it on. Getting a little bit of going. Yeah. There you go, bud.
I'm just kind of scanning through a lot of these cards.
Good boy.
Professor of Symbology can be helpful, and this will give you a reason to start using a sideboard. So, because it learns, we're going to look at lessons now. So, the white lessons are not the best, but you'll want to do something like grab Environmental Sciences, and if you're playing best of one, then you've got some sideboard slots. So you put Environmental Sciences on the sideboard, and whenever you cast your Professor of Symbology, it'll give you the option to discard a card from your hand, or draw a card, or go to the Learn board, which is part of your sideboard. So I would put Expanded Anatomy in there, Environmental Sciences. At the top end, you can put in a Mascot Exhibition. Mono white, any of these kind of mono white spells don't normally, you can get to that 7 mana, but man, it's hard to do that sometimes. Something that might work is like Academic Probation. If you just need to keep your opponent from being able to cast a spell that will wipe your board. So I'll put one of those in there. I don't really like Reduce to Memory because it gives your opponent a 3/2, and I've gotten beat by the 3/2 guy that I gave my opponent. If you're into making tokens, the Inkling Summoning or the Spirit Summoning both work well there. And again, like, you know, the Exile, those are, I don't like them specifically. So we'll just choose Academic Probation to fill in that last slot there. So, not as much life gain. But you know, you got the 4 cleric classes, 4 Battlefield Raptors. I'm going to take this into the play queue real quick and see how it kind of plays out. So, Scribbles, what brought you into the channel? Just cruising by and saw that I was looking at the reviews of the new decks?
Hey, buddy.
I mean, I like this hand. So I think I want to go ahead and start pumping the counters on and getting in there. Alright, so I think I know what my opponent is playing. I think they're playing something that's going to have, it's the Simic ramp deck. Yeah, so we're going to take that one away from you. And we're just going to try to beat you before you can get to that next one. Three, four, five, six. So next turn we're going to take away his Florahedron. No blocks. Set him back a turn on this. So that should have pushed him back far enough that I can play out my hand a little bit better. Lowest to highest readers. And your titles. Okay. I appreciate the chance to talk with you and talk about decks, and hopefully I can impart a little bit of wisdom along the way. I would be happy to play test your deck sometime and see what we can do to improve it as the format shifts. Maybe help point out some of the cards that you might want to craft, like these Elite Spellbinders and Skyclave Spirits and Luminarch Aspirants, so that you can kind of see how they play before you decide if you want to craft them. I'm just going to go ahead and attack into my opponent here. He probably has a bounce spell here because he hasn't given up yet. Yep, he's going to go look for Teachings of the Archaic. And I'm going to cast my Elite Spellbinder that I just drew. Yep, I think that could be it for him. He's got Mordenkainen. We're just going to put his other Cyclone Summoner away. That effectively keeps him from I mean, I go to work at 6 p.m. and don't get off work until 6 a.m. in the morning, so I understand your pain. But like my Discord is listed down here. On my page. I'm going to step over here and I'm going to give you a follow so I can kind of look at your deck and see how everything's going for you.
Oh, you moved. Good. Not very far.
Yeah, he got up and...
Did he drink anything on his own yet?
Yeah,
Oh,
he drank
good.
a little bit.
Good. Good, buddy.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at another one of the starting decks.
Good boy. I figured out something, okay?
Yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff where I haven't played in a couple days.
I know.
Normally I would re-roll these, but I'm going to play enough games that I'll be able to. Yeah, and like I said, I'm more than happy to jump in and on your stream and chat with you while I'm at work. I usually have plenty of time. Are there any of these starter decks, these new ones, that you particularly want to look at?
We get our head out. Yes, good boy. What are you doing? You're gonna stay inside tonight, okay?
I'm a real big fan of this Westgate region. That guy is.
Okay.
He's going to do some really good stuff later on down the road.
Here. There you go.
So just the white life gain is what you started out with. So this deck looks like it has some fun synergies. You get a really good mix of, so the way this deck does a lot of really good stuff. So these Shambling Ghasts, Deadly Disputes, and Skullport Merchants, they do a lot to really ramp you in the early game. I'm gonna clone this deck real quick and just do the budget upgrades for it. Where did it go? Alright, there it is. So things that are easy swaps that will make a big difference. The Unwilling Ingredient isn't going to do much for you. I would go up to 4 Shambling Ghasts. I would drop down 2 on those guys and bump up the Deadly Disputes because they draw you cards. Soul Shatters are rare, and Zorn is a rare. Skullport Merchant is an uncommon.
Should I get a hold of Jody and ask her to come and put an IV in him? She knows how to do all that.
I would wait a little while.
Okay. 'Cause he won't eat. I'm gonna puree some hamburger and some food and stuff for her online. That's all online. He's just severely
Dehydrated.
anemic. His liver shutting down.
Do we need to just go ahead and take him to the vet?
We don't have that money. But yeah, we should, but I think we need to take him to the vet. But he he might have some kind of intestinal blockage or worm or something.
Yeah, it's possible. So this red dragon is just not what I want at my top end of my curve. Like, I kind of want my top end to just be these two guys. So I'm going to cut that out, and I'll go up to 4 on the Skullport Merchant. The Thieves' Tools are fine because they're playing really heavily on the treasure theme here. You could almost get rid of both of these and the sudden breakthroughs with this deck, and I would put in Eye Twitch here. Which again gives you access to a learn board. And this is, you know, the lessons are a good place to start with a sideboard. Oof. So with this one you get stuff like Necrotic Fumes, Confront the Past, you could get Pest Summoning in black. But again, like, you know, a couple of Environmental Sciences are always good. Mascot Exhibition if you've got it. If you don't, I wouldn't worry about it. Like, you can throw Pest Summoning in there instead of Mascot Exhibition. And Necrotic Fumes, because the Necrotic Fumes kind of gives you a way to eat up the bad guy's stuff, and you're running a lot of treasure in this. And depending on which wild cards you have or what you have as far as these top end cards, like if you have 2 Cold Span Dragons already, you could put those in. If you have an extra Orcus or a Westgate Regent or an Emerstrom Predator, you know, double up on these cards because they're going to be good. Grim Bounty is an expensive sorcery speed removal, so I'm going to look at some of the cheaper instant speed removal. Flunk is the one that comes to mind here. Also Poison the Cup. So like Flunk in this slot gives you the ability to give a -2/-2, or it gives you a -X/-X, where X is equal to their hand size minus some stuff. Grim Bounty destroys. So Balfour Mastery can be cast cheaper. Instead of Soul Shatter, you could put in Umbral Juke. That's actually not a bad idea. That cuts out a rare and gives you something else. So Poison the Cup kind of feels like the one that I would want to put in here for destroying a creature. I know Grim Bounty gives you the treasure token, but we've kind of shifted our treasure in a way so that we're going to make more treasure anyway. Power Word Kill could be the card of choice here also. But I think I kind of want to go with Baleful Mastery here. Just for me specifically, Poison the Cup also works really well in that spot. Power Word Kill could also be good. But a lot of times, if you just need to exile a card, Baleful Mastery is gonna do it when you can't just destroy it. Like, you know, you can mastery away their Toski or something else that you don't want them to recur. Magic Missile, the sorcery speed on this just makes me not like it very much. But I'll leave it in there for now. Like these guys can be replaced with something that's much more effective. Like they both do okay things, but like I would rather have an extra predator. Oh. It's because I'm looking at instance. Alright, so like 2 predators here. And maybe a 4th Kalane. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, removal is a big thing. Interaction. There are some ways in white that you can protect yourself. I believe so. You're gonna want to look for stuff that gives you like indestructible or hexproof, or makes them. You can even use like you're ambushed on the road, so it kind of fizzles their attempt to destroy your creature. The one I'm thinking of is Sujiri's Shelter, I think. Yeah, this card right here, Sujiri's Shelter. It's an uncommon. It's one of the modal DFCs. It's, you know, the other side of it is land that enters with play tapped. So there's Angel with indestructible when it attacks. I'll look for that here in a second. So stuff that's at instant speed. So like Semester's End is a rare that you can get that will exile your creatures. It's a 5/5. Okay, I'll look for it here in just a second. So Semester's End. lets you basically exile your guys that he's targeting. So if he's going to do a board wipe or something like that, you can cast this in response and protect all of your guys because they're going to leave play and then come back in with +1/+1 counters. You've also got Shajiri Shelter, which is going to let you give your creature protection. So this is an instant. When he targets your guy, you just give him shelter, and he's protected against the color that your opponent's choosing. I think that's all we have. Hang on. Yeah, that's opponent. What did Jody have to say?
I didn't call Jody. I was trying to call a vet clinic that took payment plans, and the only one who does that's in Corridon is double booked and can't get him in for at least 4 days.
Okay, did you try Brandenburg?
Yep.
Okay.
That was the first place I tried. Cheyenne was a vet assistant, so I tried calling her, but she's at work right now. So she's not going to help me. I'm going to have to call Jody.
Okay. So yeah, Shajiri Shelter is what I would add in here. Scribbles. And I'll just take out 2 lands for the shelters. You kind of hold those in your hand if you're playing against black, and if you're playing against red or even green. Like blue is really the only one that I don't worry about too much. And then like a semester's end at your somewhere at your top end wouldn't hurt either. So let's see. Creature, Angel, 5/5 Angel. Okay, so the Angelic Guardian is probably the one you're talking about. This 5/5. Yeah, let's. Let's see what we're gonna have. Moving forward here, as far as lands go, so you'll still have Faceless Haven, but you won't have a land that comes into play and gives you life anymore. I don't think. I mean, it could get reprinted. But, I mean, as far as, like, lands go, Faceless Haven is probably the land that would make the most sense to add in, just because it's a man land. It's a really good card. And if you want to stay with, the pure life gain kind of strategy, really the only creature that you're benefiting from all the life gain is the Celestial Unicorn, and your Cleric class helping basically do the same thing that your Luminarch Aspirant is doing, except when you gain life. But as you see, like, this is a little bit different strategy. It goes away from the life gain a little bit, but you still have your Righteous Valkyrie in here to just if it was M21, it might not get a reprint until the 2022 set comes out. because Adventures in the Forgotten Realms was, it replaced the okay, so you're running the Hallowed Priest right now, and that is a fine card. It does better than most. Sorry about that. A card that does the same thing as the Hallowed Priest is the Core Celebrant. Or you could dip into green for the Innkeeper. So the Prosperous Innkeeper, if you take a little dip into green, he does the same thing that your Hallowed Priest is doing. He also generates a treasure, but it does make your mana base a little more tricky. But green-white also gives you access to Trelasara, who is just kind of strictly a better card than the Celestial Unicorn, in that she helps you scry when you gain life. So those are two cards that if you shifted a little bit into green, could help significantly towards the idea of life gain, because that's a major theme for green-white, is the life gain. Right. So I'm gonna load up my green-white life gain. Lifeline, I think this is the one that I think this is the new starter deck that is doing something similar to what you're running. Yeah, because I know I didn't build this. So I'm gonna play it a little bit and show you kind of how it looks like. Lifeline. And this is a free deck that you should have access to.
That's good stuff, huh? Good boy. Good boy.
Well, it's not quite infinite life, because the Leonin Light Scribe only gives you life when it attacks, or only gives you creatures when it attacks.
You tried it? Yeah.
So we'll keep this.
I know. It feels weird, huh? Is it good?
Like it's not an infinite loop as it comes out.
Okay. Last one for now. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, girl. There you go.
And this Impassioned Orator is what you're talking about.
One more. One more for right now. Okay? I know. There you go. Good boy.
I'm just going to run the Story Seeker into him so I can. Yeah, Linden is a great card. I'm gonna run the Story Seeker into him just to gain the life, so that I can put a counter on my Trelisara. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Linden is going away. But like, if you're only going to be playing in best of one, then it's not going to matter too much. I don't need that land because a lot of your well, we don't know what we're going to be gaining in the new stuff. All right, so I'm probably not going to be able to pull a win out of this.
Come on. I know. Come on. You stand
as it is, but Icing Death might be able to get me over the top. No attack, end of turn.
Stand. Come on. Stand. Come on. There you go. Stand up. I know. I got you. I know. I got you, buddy. You're not gonna fall. You're not gonna fall. I got you. You're okay. Come on, Kyle. Stand up, buddy. You can do it. You're strong, boy.
Really would like to stop drawing lands at this point.
Come on, Kyle. Stand. I can hold you. Come on, buddy. Can you stand with your front? Just a little bit.
Yeah, he's just getting a much better draw than I am.
Stand on the towel. There you go. Stand on the towel. There you go, buddy. There you go. Look, you're standing there. I don't know what you're doing. You know.
And like, you're not gonna find a card that does what Linden does for you. Like that card's just probably not getting reprinted. Plain and simple.
I know.
So what would I do here?
I got you, buddy. You're alright.
Lurking Roper's gonna go away. This Alchemist goes away. Pillar Drop is just not that good. Hang on. Oh yeah, the life gain decks can be very gross. So up two Innkeepers, up three Righteous Valkyrie, the Ropers come out, the Alchemist comes out, the Rescuers come out. mean, Devouring Tendrils is fine. It's kind of a fight spell. Sorcery speed though. It's a bite spell more than a fight spell. Like I would almost take out Fortifying Drought here and replace it with Snakeskin Veil. And the reason being, I know Snakeskin Veil doesn't give me life gain, but what it does do is it protects my important creatures. Like Druid class, if you're going into green, also helps. Not sure how I feel about Minimus Containment. Also not sure about You Meet at a Tavern. Like Honor Troll might be good to throw in here as well. I like it over the Lurking Roper. I guess Devouring Tendrils is fine there. I don't like that. Not a fan of Minimus Containment. I think instead of Minimus Containment, I would rather run Portable Hole. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll be happy to take the time to work with you and help you learn some of the ins and outs, and maybe you'll get a chance to see some of my plays and realize that, hey, that's a cool way of doing something. So glad you joined me for lunch today, and we'll talk to you later. Yeah. Might drop one Devouring Tendril, go up to 3 Trellisara. I mean, 2 might be fine. 2 should be fine. Pull out those and add in two more Story Seekers. I'm going to take a short break, and I will return.